guys, here is my version of the well. If you guys have the well at home, yours might look more like this. But we're going to be talking about something that you guys read this week, and it's Acts 27. And I want to first ask you a question, though. I want to ask you if you have ever had a really good idea that people haven't listened to. So discuss that with the people that you're with. We'll give you a minute. Go. Okay, there was this one time, I'm going to tell y'all a funny story. There was this one time that my family and I, we were eating at a restaurant, and they had one of those machines that you put a quarter in, and like you turn the dial and something pops out of the bottom. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? And my son really, really wanted one of these. And I said, hey, this isn't a great idea, because the problem with those things is you don't know what's going to pop out. You don't get to choose what item you get. It's just luck of the draw, kind of. And so you can save the 25 cents and actually get something that you do like. But he really wanted to get something out of that machine thingy, whatever they're called. There's got to be some legit name for that. I don't know what they are, but hopefully you're tracking with the story and get the point. Well, he said, no, I really want that. I really want to use the quarter on that. I said, okay. So we put a quarter in. And guess what popped out? A princess ring. Yeah. He wished that he had listened to me, but he didn't. And that happens sometimes. And we are actually going to look at a story in Acts of a time that people should have listened to Paul. But first, we're going to worship.
Whatever comes, I won't complain. this day we're gathered in your name, calling out to you. Your glory like a fire, awakening desire, will burn our hearts with truth. You're the reason we're here. You're the reason we're singing. Open up the heavens, we want to see you. Open up the floodgates, a mighty river flowing from your heart, filling every part of our praise. Your presence in this place, your glory on our face. We're looking to the sky, descending like a cloud. You're standing with us now. Lord, unveil our eyes. You're the reason we're here. You're the reason we're singing. So open up the heavens, we want to see you. Open up the floodgates, a mighty river flowing from your heart, filling every part of our praise. Yes, open up the heavens, we want to see you. Open up the floodgates, a mighty river flowing from your heart, filling every part of our praise. Show us your glory. Show us your power. Show us your glory, Lord. Show us your glory. Show us your power. Show us your glory, Lord. We want to see you. We want to see you. Open up the heavens. We want to see you. Open up the floodgates. A mighty river flowing from your heart, filling every part of our praise. Say, open up the heavens. We want to see you. Open up the floodgates. A mighty river flowing from your heart, filling every part of our praise. We sing,
All right, so we're going to be in Acts 27, and we pick up there that Paul is a prisoner, and he is a prisoner not because he's done anything wrong, but because he has been telling so many people about Jesus. So he is in prison, and they decide to ship him, put him on a boat, and send him all the way to Rome. And so he gets on this boat, and I'm going to show you this map. Whoop. Hold on, I brought my big Bible because it has this cool map in it that I want to show you. So you can actually see how far Paul went to get to Rome in a boat. It's a pretty long way in a boat, very long way. And he's a prisoner, keep in mind. And so they get to about this island right here of Crete. And Paul says, hey guys, we don't need to go further. We need to stop here until the weather gets a little bit better. Because Paul knows that you shouldn't be sailing a ship at a certain time of year because the weather can get horrible in that area of the sea. Do they listen to Paul's good idea? No, they don't listen to it. Just like how sometimes you have good ideas that people don't listen to. And so they get in the boat and they start heading across the sea. And guess what happens? this horrible storm comes. They call it the northeaster winds. I mean, horrible waves crashing over. The sun doesn't shine for days. Their boat is falling apart. They're having to throw stuff out of their boat because they're like, we are sinking. Literally, it is a horrible, horrible, horrible storm. And Paul stands up, and if you can picture this in your brain of like sitting in a boat and waves are crashing over, the boat's falling apart, everyone is scared and stressed. And Paul stands up in this moment. Paul stands up, and I want to read it specifically to you. He says in verse 20, so for many days, not sun or stars appeared. The severe storm kept raging. Finally, all hope that we would be saved was disappearing. So all the people in the boat are like, there's no way this is going to work out. And since many were going without food, Paul stood up and said, hey, you guys should have followed my advice not to sail. But I urge you now to take courage, because there will be no loss of any of your lives, but only of the ship. And he knows this. He knows that there will be no loss of lives. He knows this because God made this promise to him. Paul says this. It says, take courage, men, because I believe that it will be just the way God told it to me. And so when I read this, here's something that it made me think about. That the waves are crashing. The sun is not shining. They have not eaten. The boat is falling apart. And Paul stands up and says, hey guys, we're going to be fine. We're going to live. You know why? Because God told me we're going to live. And I was thinking about times in our lives where maybe the things around us feel very scary or chaotic or stressful or hard. Yet we can still know that God will do what he says he is going to do. That God is going to fulfill his promises to us. Even when the world around you is crazy and feels like, oh, I don't know, is this going to be okay? We can know that if God says it is, it's going to be okay. And this is why Paul, when literally waves are crashing, the ship he is in is falling apart, he hasn't eaten, people are throwing stuff overboard, it is pure chaos. And Paul can boldly say, God told me we're going to be okay. So I see the waves. I see that we're hungry. I see that we're wet. I see that this boat is falling apart. We're going to be okay because God told me. So I want to give you some examples of this because I've never been in a boat where the storm is going crazy and the boat's falling apart. That would not be where I have felt God's promises necessarily. But has there ever been a time when you have felt very alone? Has there ever been a time where you felt like, does anyone care about me? Does anyone like me? Have you ever felt that? And in that moment, even though your feeling might feel kind of alone, we can know, because God says it in his word, he's never going to leave us. Jesus says, I will never leave you. And so we actually are never alone because God promises that he will always be with us. Another example might be when something really sad happens in your life. Maybe a pet dies. And you wonder, does God love me? If he loves me, then why would this sad thing happen to me? You see the world around you, your feeling might be a certain way of, wow, this is sad or this is hard. But like Paul, we can be confident that if God says something, it's true and he's going to make it happen. And so Paul says this to to the people on the boat, and they're like, okay. I mean, maybe they thought he was kind of crazy because they're like, what in the world? Like, this boat is falling apart. We're going to be okay. But I want to jump ahead, and they are getting close to shipwrecking the boat by this island, and they can get off of the boat because they will survive. The boat may not, but they will survive. And this is what Paul does, which I just think is so amazing, that they have not eaten food in 14 days. They have not eaten food for 2 weeks. Can you imagine? Like, can you not eat food for like a morning? And they have not eaten food for 14 days. And Paul says, all right, it's time for us to get some food. It's time for us to get some food in our system. And so they sit around, they haven't eaten for 14 days. They scrounge up some of the food they have on their boat. And before they start eating, here's what Paul does. I'm going to read it to you. It's verse 35. After Paul had said these things, he took some bread. He gave thanks to God in the presence of all of them. And when he broke it, he began to eat. They all became encouraged and took food themselves. So if you were a prisoner, a group of people had not listened to your good advice, you hadn't eaten for 14 days, you had been in a horrible storm, waves crashing over you, your boat is falling apart, would you stop and thank God for the food you're about to eat? And I'm going to be honest, guys, when I was doing my well reading, that stuck out to me. God, would I do that? Would I stop and thank you for the things that you have given me? Would I? And so I want you guys, we're going to stop right here. And we're going to give you a minute. And I want you and the people you're with to just stop and thank God for the things that you have. I think sometimes in our lives we can get so focused on what's hard or what's not going right, or we're just busy, that we don't stop and actually thank God for what He's given us. And I'm going, wow, okay, Paul, thank you for your example that you can be going through some really, really hard stuff and you take the time to thank God. I'm going to pray for you guys right now. God, help us be people that trust your promises and are aware and see the ways that you have given and provided, and help us thank you for those things. In your name I pray, amen.
Who am I that the highest King would welcome me? I was lost, but He brought me in. Oh, His love for me. Oh, His love for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free. There's a place